Hello, my name is TomboTheTornado and welcome to Seeking the Truth. In this mini-series I intend to cover a range of topics before Horizon Forbidden West comes out. I'll be looking at improvements to the game, new and different aspects that could be brought to the game, things that I'd like to be left alone, and finally looking ahead to outlandish and different ideas that could feature in Horizon Forbidden West. This episode will be focused on weapons. The weapons of HCD are incredibly useful, and obviously you need them if you want to kill anything. Due to the range of enemies you face, both human and machines, you will need a wide range of weaponry in order to accomplish any mission. Thankfully, HCD provides this in spades. However, there are still improvements that could be made both to the weapons, the gameplay, and the menus. So, that all being said, let's dive right in. So, we're going to start with something that we all know and use and quite often abuse. It is the infinite backpack. As this is a video game, you'll need a lot of weapons, tools, and equipment to carry around at all times. They're all stored in your infinite backpack. Sure, it's large, it can fit a lot in, and you can upgrade it to fit more in. But have we really asked the question why? We carry around all this stuff with only a bare minimum on occasion that we use. Why such a large backpack? Certainly different missions require different weapons, and let's face it, we don't want to go all the way back to a city or town to resupply on something else before venturing out into the wilds again. We want that freedom of going from mission to mission, or just messing around in the world, or taking in the sights, running errands. Not you errand. Having all this space is useful, however it could be that in Forbidden West we'll have our backpack restricted. This could lead to some interesting situations and moral dilemmas on weapons that you should bring or resources that you need. Should you go all stealth and bring stun weapons, or do you want the challenge of facing an entire army? This could lead to variation in quests and something a little different. If you are 100% stealth a mission, does this mean that these people won't remember you and that you're able to pass through that area again unscathed? Whereas if you went in guns blazing and they saw you again, would they then chase you out of their territory or send weapons and machines against you? We are getting a little off topic. I will cover this in more detail further down the line in a quests variant. The main issue I have with the backpack is the lack of customization and sorting. It's a very useful tool and you need a lot of these materials to create ammunition. However, you can't arrange weapons in the bag without having to first drop the weapons and then pick them up again. This is the only way to organize your backpack unless you're incredibly pedantic and buy them in the order that you want them. Worse than this, I found if you drop more than 10 weapons, they begin to despawn no matter what they are. Thus began a very lengthy process of dropping weapons, picking them up again until I had each weapon in the slot where I wanted it. Basically, customization of the menu could sort all this out in no time at all. Just a generalization of where you want your weapons so that they're easily found when you're in a fight. Or even if you're going into the menus looking for the weapons, they're all in the order you want them to be so the correct weapon is at hand when you need it to be. All that's needed here is a very simple and basic system that allows you to put your weapons in the order that you want them, or uniforms in the order that you want them. It's a very simple system and I don't think it's too much to ask for. In missions, and more so in the wild, you must be prepared for unforeseen circumstances such as bandits and other machines like glint hawks or scrappers that will come in on a fight. This means that you'll have to change weapons halfway through a fight. Accessing the weapon wheel doesn't stop time, merely slows it down. That's allowing you to keep an eye on the action, rotate the camera, see what you need, rearrange and reassess, ready for the next fight or whatever's coming at you. Certainly at higher difficulties, I think the weapon wheel could be used as a crutch to orientate yourself and deal with threats. However, since the weapon wheel only slows time and doesn't stop it entirely, you can't use it indefinitely. There is very little criticism to be found on the weapon wheel. I like it, it's perfect for me. It fits nicely in the game, keeps the flow, and keeps you in the action, which is very important, I find, in the gameplay. The only suggestion that I can have for this to improve it slightly is maybe at higher difficulties the time speeds back up again quicker. So if you're on ultra hard mode, it hardly takes you out of the action, you don't really have that time, you can be immersed in gameplay. I know this would lead to mistakes and a lot of people might not like this decision, and if you don't, then maybe a lower difficulty would be better for you. But for me, I found myself using the slow time event just to reorganize myself, and it did slightly take myself out of the action of the gameplay. That's just me personally. Other people might feel different, but this is a possible improvement or maybe a downgrade for other people. But personally, I would like to see that in the game. Let me know if you think differently, obviously, in the comments as always. The system breaks down entirely when you go for a new weapon, and you all know what I mean by this. Instead of keeping you in the action of the game, you pause, it will take you into the backpack menu where you'll have all the time in the world to look around and find what you're looking for. Say you want a sling, or you want to freeze an enemy, or you've decided, hey, I want to change out to something more precise. You'll have all the time you need to look around. And while you're there, why not craft some new weapons? Why not put a different mod on a weapon and change it round so it's more precise to what you need? And why not craft some ammo while you're there? Why not craft some traps? Why not stock up on potions? Basically, the menu takes you right out of the action and straight into whatever you need. You'll have all the time in the world to change about whatever you want to fit the fight. And it really breaks down the gameplay completely. It's no longer about survival, it's about tactics. And you have all the time you need to fulfill these tactics. You need all the time you want. Go into the pause menu. Hey, those machines are still going to be there when you come out in the exact same place you froze them, so why not take the time to put together a plan of action and all that stuff? This needs to be addressed. Seriously, this needs to be taken out. Something else needs to be put into place for this. It really does break down the gameplay for me and for a lot of you, and we've all used this, we've all been there, we've all done it. Don't pretend you haven't. If you haven't, my hat goes off to you, but we've all been there where we needed some time to figure things out, even just a break from the action, just to pause, reassess and go back in. You're ducking, you're diving, you're weaving, you're grabbing your bow, you're switching to your staff, you're hacking another machine, you're converting them to your side, you run at another enemy, something comes barreling towards you, you change to your bow, realise you don't have anything to shoot blaze, and then you press the pause menu and everything stops. Dead. All that action, all that pent up emotion, all the adrenaline that's surging through the system, making this a great game, just stops and flatlines. There's nothing. And for me, that kills the mood completely. I'd like to see this addressed going forward in Forbidden West. I'd like to see, certainly during fights, I understand why we need a pause menu. I understand why we need to get into this, and I understand that right now it's necessary because you don't have access to sorting out the weapons and sorting out a system for what you want to grab in order you want to grab it. And sure, you can quickly press pause, find what you need, grab it, go back into the gameplay, but it does take something out of the action. And I'd like to see this addressed in Forbidden West. Customization. It's a big part of HCD, whether it's the mods you put on your weapons, the weapons themselves, the weapons you can collect from the Lodge or Frozen Wilds. There's many different variants of weapons out there. Mod slots available. Different weapons have different size of mod slots. There are examples of weapons in the Frozen Wilds that have larger mod slots than weapons from the Hunter's Lodge. However, as varied as these are, there is certainly not enough variety in weapon skins. Yes, we can say that the Hunter's Lodge has gold-plated skins for weapons and slightly different variations on it, but I'd like to see more. I'd like to see so much more. Certainly I'd like to see slight variation in weapon design. But what about crafting your own weapons? What about creating something yourself that you can hold in your hand, that holds up to the light and say, hey, I did this, look at this, look how great it is. And you can colour it and you can change what's on it and you can craft it and mould it and make it your own. What about something like a proximity detonator, where you throw in a proximity mine that then detonates and releases a canister of blaze that catch fires to an area? It would be nice to see. I'd just like to see a little bit more control and a little bit more design put into the weapons and the customization menu. At least have something where it allows you to turn the weapon round, see it in 3D format, move it around, observe its majesty. Fully, truthfully and honestly, I don't really have many issues with customization. It really ticked a lot of boxes for me in the first game. Knowing how old the game is and how improved things are now, I'd like to see obviously these improvements being brought to the new game. It is an old game and there are some things that have been brought out now which would be nice to see in the new game, and that goes without saying, I think. HCD weapons really are great. They've got this really nice, lovely blend of old age tech, new age tech with the bows, the arrows, the slings. It's all very caveman in its essence, but then you got things that are a little bit more complicated, like electric bombs, fire bombs, the blaze ignites. It brings together the old age tech and the new age tech perfectly, and there's not much I want changed to those sort of weapons. Obviously in the game you can pick up machine guns and disc launchers, which are a little bit more high tech, but apart from that, there's nothing really that needs to be changed about the initial design of these weapons. I fully support the initial design of these weapons. I just have a few issues when it comes to crafting your own weapons. Maybe colouring your own weapons would be a nice improvement as well. Rotation, certainly on the menus, would be nice to see. And finally, maybe just going into a little bit more detail about what differs say a adapt sling from a normal sling, just a slightly different design, slightly different wood, different paneling, maybe it comes from a different machine. That sort of blend of technology just slightly changed up just a little bit. So at this point I was going to talk a little bit about mods, about how they can be changed out, replaced maybe with something a bit more tribe-like, like charms or that influence speed or luck or that sort of thing. But honestly, I think they did a really good job with mods. They blend the old age tech and the new age tech very well. I don't think there's really anything that needs to be changed about this. Maybe the only thing that needs looking at is the damage sides of things, and there's been plenty of people posting on Facebook recently about their mods doing more damage than other people. They've decked it out so even on ultra hard mode a sling does a lot of damage or a weapon does a lot of damage, and maybe they need to look at bringing that down just slightly so it's a little bit more believable. And of course, I've saved the best for last. New weapons. This is probably what I'm looking forward to most in this category. I'd say it's probably the third most thing I'm looking forward to in the whole new game. First being the storyline, second being new machines, third on that list, new weapons. Really, really interested to see what they come up with. So we're going into the Forbidden West, which basically means we're going into the past. This was the last line of defense before the machines broke through. Not to mention the entire battalion of Kestrels that were lost after an expedition into Forbidden West. So we're obviously going to see some old weapons such as Pharaoh robots, some old Carja weapons, maybe some new tribes. They formed their own tribe maybe out there. And obviously this is going to affect weaponry out in Forbidden West. We're going to see some very old blend of tech, and even older still, the old ones blend of tech as well, maybe crafted into those weapons, which I'm really looking forward to seeing. We will go into tribes in a different video, so for now let's just set that one aside. So, the first thing you notice when you traverse the entire landscape of HCD are tanks that are dotted about. Now, by the look of these tanks, they have railgun weapons on this. Now, this is mentioned in the briefing with the Joint Chiefs and General Harris. They talk about putting a railgun in the hands of every civilian and sending them to the front. So, does this mean that we can get our hands on a railgun? Putting them in the hands of every civilian doesn't necessarily mean it has to be on a tank. Can we finally get hold of a railgun? Can it shoot through rocks? Can it shoot through machines faster? Could it shoot through multiple machines at the same time? It's something that I really miss not seeing in the game. I see them everywhere, I can't use them, and it really would be nice to pick up a railgun and use it. And certainly we detach things off machines before, like the miniguns, the disc launchers, they fall off machines. Railgun, really would like to see a railgun. Really want to hold a railgun in my hands. Personally, I'd love to see it. But what if a weapon can't be taken off a cannon? So what would happen if, say, a clever Oseram comes along and converts a cannon or a tank into a stationary weapons-based platform? This could make for a very interesting bandit camp area, where retrofitted stationary weaponry could be activated if you're focusing on stealth and you get spotted. A huge weapon turns to your attention. So instead of the usual running away from large amounts of enemies that are running at you, now you have a giant gun pointed at your face. For me, this could be a really big game changer in clearing out bandit camps, and it will also give you a reason for clearing out bandit camps other than saving an area or a town. A large weapon mounted on a bandit camp could give you a reason for legitimately clearing it out. It could be used to target other camps, towns, areas, people in the world, NPCs. It really could bring about a different need to clear out a bandit camp. But hey, who says a weapons-based platform has to be stationary? I'm still holding out hope. I still want to see it. We know that the Oseram are good tinkerers and can put together wood and metal well together. We also know the Banuk can create balloons. We've seen them on Frozen Wilds. They can fly in the air with the Oseram. I want to see a weapons-based platform. I want to see a Zeppelin. I want to see it. I want to see the combination of the two clans coming together and creating a flying Zeppelin. This could be great as a fast travel system. Call it in, move to a new location. Yes, they said they were going to cut down the fast travel mode because it takes ages, but that could be a nice animation for A to B. We'll talk about this a bit later when we get into the clans. But I'd like to see it. I'd like to see a weapons-based platform that is a flying, floating fortress that you have to defeat in order to free it, and then you can use it yourself. I want to see it. I know it's probably not going to happen, but the technology's there, and they have everything in place that they need to create something of that magnitude right now. So it looks like the Tornado will be the main enemy in this new landscape with the help of Silence, who are creating an arsenal by collecting and reprogramming machines. But the question becomes, how do these machines get captured in the first place? Sure, they could use tripwires and rope casters, but these damage the machines, so why not have something slightly less damaging, like, for instance, a net gun? Or fly a high-density metal rope, grabbing that machine or other humans, hunters, etc., and ground it and then have people tackle them, thus not damaging the machine as much as we see with other weapons, which could be great for reprogramming machines yourself. I'd like to see something of this design in the new game. Following on from the subject of snagging machines, why can't you use rope casters to tie machines together? You could effectively create a herd or a pack of machines that are in a panic and send them towards other machines. Why not have them steer and herd other machines into areas that you want to go? Using your own mount, you could use this mechanism to bring machines where you want them to go and put them into other fights as well. Which brings us nicely into the useful tool of overriding machines. Now, this is useful, but it could do with some refreshing and improvements along the way. Right now, if you override another machine, it's pretty docile until it sees an enemy and then it just attacks. But what about directing these machines? What about having them defend a target, having them attack, move in a pincer maneuver? Why not have you as one pincer and them as another? Why not have them pincer alone? Why not use them to defend another target while then quickly changing to attack when you see the situation change? Basically, I want the ability to send machines where I want them, to issue commands to machines, to tell them where to go, to tell them what to do, and if I need to, change it up on occasion. Overridden machines and mounts could do with an upgrade too, either with a weapon mounted on your steed or additional saddlebags containing weapons materials. However, this will be looking into in more detail in our third episode covering machines. Whenever I say weapon, my mind instantly springs to offensive capabilities or defensive capabilities. But what about those things that we never really looked at? The middle ground, the climbing. Climbing is a big part of Horizon Zero Dawn, and there is no doubt there are no way that you could scale some of the cliffs in the climbing mechanisms. We're going to look at this in our next episode on geography of the new maps under Forbidden West. But for now, we can focus on climbing in general, using tools and weapons to do so, such as a grapple shot. Why not have a grappling hook? We know we have that hook shot that goes out when you rappel down large surfaces or areas, only at certain points on the map. But why not have a grappling hook? Something that can go up, something that you can climb, or a reel line that you can use your hands to maneuver a wheel around that will hoist you up an area. How about a rope bridge shot? We see plenty of bridges in the wild, why not use our own? Tether a cable into the ground, create a bridge across a ravine or a river, or a dangerous area. This could be used as tether line, or a rope line, or just even to hook shots in the ground so we can descend from an area at speed. But why not? Tether one area into the ground, throw it across the river, create a temporary bridge, or something permanent that you could use again. Something like out of Death Stranding, where you use bridges across areas that other people can use. And why not have that again, where you can have a tether that you set up previously, you know where it is, you can mark it on the map, and you can use it to cross an area without it despawning. And finally, let's look at traps. The trap wheel is available at the bottom of the screen. If you have a lot of traps, you have to cycle through the entire potion list and trap list until you get to the one you want. This really does mean that the only time that you can use traps effectively in a fight is before you're in a fight. Maybe lay down some traps, some tripwires, then during a fight lure a machine in or run away from a machine and lead it through the traps. A lot of people, however, forget that fallen machines have their own trap components on them. You can use Blaze on a falling machine to ignite and affect an area without even having to pick it up. However, this can be difficult. First of all, if a container ablaze isn't exposed, if it's shielded, then you have to shoot that off, then shoot the blaze itself. Or if it is lying down, sometimes when you hit it, it doesn't initially ignite, causing a lot of problems and time standing around trying to get the angle just right to ignite the blaze canister that's lying on the ground to ignite and set off an explosion. Overall, I don't think the trap menu needs to be shaken up too much. I like the traps, I like everything that is provided in them. I'd like to see a few more going forward, maybe some that influence people, poisons and the like, hallucinogenics, that sort of thing to confuse and upset enemies, or just to poison a specific target. Instead of going in and taking out a whole load of people, maybe leave it somewhere where they could be poisoned, pick it up, drink it, whatever you will with that. A little bit more Assassin's Creed style, maybe. But apart from that, I really don't have much to say about traps in general. I like them. You can set them off in a chain reaction like I did for my New Year's fireworks. Check that video out because I had great fun with that one. But apart from that, I see no problems with traps. Maybe a bit more user interface, a wheel for traps or something else available for getting to them quicker. But for the most part, traps in their essence have to be set up before a fight anyway, so I'm not too overly concerned with traps. Next time on Seeking the Truth, we're going to look at new lands in the Forbidden West, their real life geographical location, what that could mean in terms of the story for the characters, what that could mean in terms of the tribes, and in the trailer there was a small discussion about how landscapes will change over time and what I think that will mean and what that will mean to happen in the storyline and how that affects your gameplay. Critically, I'd like to look at the map size, how big is it going to be, traversing this landscape, what's that going to mean for players, and how we're going to go about doing that collectively. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments below. If enough people ask questions on Horizon Zero Dawn or Forbidden West, I will create a between episode to answer these questions. If there's not enough, I will just answer them in the comments. I'll just see how things go on that one. Thank you very much for watching, and please take care out there.